Hi everyone, welcome to Divine Secretarial. I'm going to do shuffling of the decks before we get started. And thank you, Angels Guardians, for allowing me to be a channel for this highest and best good. Allow these messages to receive those who need it at this time and allow them to discern what they need and leave the rest. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, for commenting. I really do appreciate all of you. One of the major messages that has come through before I actually hit record was the Divine Feminines. You have been really looking at some relationships and wondering which type of relationship are needing to be surrendered, needing to remove your energy from. And it also, there was a specific message saying, because spirituality is a very niche arena, you're also going to know that spirituality's maybe brought you a divine soul, a person to align with, but it doesn't mean it needs to be permanent. And what that means, it's only going to resonate for a select few. And what that means is, even if you have similarities about spirituality, it doesn't mean that you need to cling on to a specific relationship. If you feel in your heart of hearts that your emotions are being tested and challenged, and you have tried your best to overcome those things, because we do mirror what we see in ourselves from other people. But it's not as if you are supposed to keep picking on a wound, right? It's the wound is there to heal. And if you are hearing this message, you are definitely on the right path. Your counterpart is probably mirroring this in the same vicinity. So I'm also seeing the likes of the Two of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, the World card. I'm seeing the Six of Cups. Oh, what's the last card? Oh, the Three of Pentacles. Thank you, Spirit. And just as I split the deck, we've got the Empress and the Chariot. So this is your, whatever stage you are in on this journey, this is a fast-paced energy that you are overcoming. So don't feel like you're at the, which stage are you in on the journey, the beginning, middle, or nearing the manifestation? You are nearing a manifestation. You are succeeding on your path. And this is one specific message to align with you on where you are. So what I'm also seeing is feminines, you don't need to um identify every single detail. Sometimes our self-reflections can be debilitating, but it's using the strength of your own discernment and acknowledging that certain people, certain paths may have been outgrown, right? So let's take a look at what these cards and what messages want to come through. And as soon as I said that, two cards wanted to come out. The Seven of Wands, the Four of Swords. Some of you have really needed to defend. The King of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. Some of you have really needed to defend how you feel because you weren't able to speak up at that time. You often had maybe felt silent or unaware about how to express yourself in a kind, compassionate way. But it also has revealed that it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to let go of your boundaries and borders, because, in a sense, it's also giving you the opportunity to show up after you have gone through these challenges. So again, it's coming back to that wound, from the challenges, what have you learnt? Are you able to really stand up for yourself and speak up for what you want? You may have needed some time alone to decipher what these things are. And the Devil card came up at the top of the deck. The King of Swords is still at the bottom of the deck. What I see here is there are going to be teachable moments throughout this period. And this message is timeless. So no matter when you're seeing this, it is a highly aware conscious perspective that you're actually coming into in 2025, or even in the year that you're seeing this. But it doesn't mean that you need to renegotiate your own values and your own morals. If, for example, something doesn't feel good, ask yourself, well, why doesn't it feel good? And am I supposed to have this good feeling all the time? But also, are you playing the martyr or the victim? Like I said earlier, are you picking at the wound because there is something that you are hiding from yourself? So let's have a look at the energy regarding this particular journey that you were on. Oh, the Ace of Cups. I'm so glad the Ace of Cups came out because I was gonna call that out. I'm seeing like all of the aces basically in my mind's eye. But right now you are being called to nurture your emotions. And what I mean by that is when you're able to understand which emotions are arising for what particular reason, you're embracing all those things. And it's not saying that certain emotions are bad, or certain emotions are neutral, or certain emotions are good. You are here sent on this earth plane to experience a plethora of emotions. And sometimes it throws you because you're thinking, well, wait a second, this doesn't feel good, but maybe there's a lesson in that. Yes, but that's the whole point. Why are you pursuing something that you need to that you feel drained from, right? If you have a friend or a relationship where it's testing, whether it's trying, whether it's difficult to communicate, whatever it is, why are you constantly wanting to put yourself through those energies? Like, what are you hiding from? What are you afraid of? And using them as almost an avoidance tactic, an avoidance to look at your own self. So let's move on from this. What is coming up when we look at those emotions and we're able to begin to peel our energy back to ourselves away from this type of person? Wow, the Ace of Swords. See, I was thinking the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Cups earlier this morning, and I'm so glad it's come up because, again, it's speaking your truth. It's acknowledging that you don't need to shy away from how you truly feel because how you truly feel is needs to be honored. And yes, the feelings and the emotions transmute and change and evolve. But right now, you're going through this stage to understand this level of neutrality, this level of going through the rainbow of emotions. Yes, you're asked to balance your emotions, but don't be afraid to actually absorb some of the challenges that are arising. Because, yes, you're asking yourself questions, but what are you hiding yourself from? So, say, for example, if one of your friends constantly maybe ridicules you or jokes about things, but you have a really great friendship when it comes to giving and receiving, well, that's fine, but is it worth having that dynamic when you need to do a lot of work by pulling back your energy? Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. And that's just one example because everybody's going to be a little bit different. Everybody's going to have their own situation going on. But what I'm seeing about this Ace of Cups is, are you truly honoring your feelings, feminines? Are you truly honoring your feelings, masculines? Are you truly able to speak up about how you feel? And if it's being difficult to speak up about how you feel, maybe go to somebody where speaking of this is a little bit easier, and that in itself shows that you're not avoiding a uncomfortable conversation. This person is draining your energy and it's being tested and challenged, but you can also choose to have an easier time of processing. It doesn't need to be difficult, it doesn't need to be hard, it doesn't need to be a struggle, and you don't need to pay your dues. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going through this challenge, something's going to come out over the end. No, sometimes you're going through a challenge and a specific pathway because you're supposed to turn around. because you're supposed to be redirected. You know what I mean? It's very, very specific, this message. So if you're resonating with any of these messages thus far, please do click the like button because this is, I love when these channels happen. I can't predict when they happen, but I do love when all of these messages kind of sink in. So let's have a look that you've been asked to assess your emotions. You've been asked to honor why these emotions are coming up. But let's ask Spirit, could you tell us about the way that we are able to clarify between walking away and sticking to a specific friendship? Eight of Pentacles. It is up to you whether you wish to work on this. As I mentioned earlier, if, for example, you have a work colleague and you were kind of pushed into the same team, you've been with each other year after year, and it just doesn't feel great anymore. It did in the past, but it doesn't feel great anymore. It doesn't mean that you need to keep forcing this friendship to evolve because of the amount of years or because that you work together. It could mean that you need to work on the way to nurture your emotions, your own relationship with yourself, honoring the truth of what you are seeing rather than going with the general perspective of, oh, we've just been friends for so long. Oh, we've just had, we've worked together the same team and we've got all this history. None of that matters because when you're on a spiritual journey, you are going to outgrow people. And I read a really, really beautiful message yesterday, and I shared it with one of my soul sisters, and we both agreed that, you know, when you go through a specific spiritual journey and ascension, and there are still people in the water, in the river, struggling, you don't go back in the river to save them. You don't risk the chance of drowning yourself to save them because you have a higher calling, because you're meant to be a light worker, because you're a healer. No, you don't risk your own life. And this is an extreme example, but the whole point of me being asked to validate this Eight of Pentacles is to say, you can work hard in a specific direction and it's never going to get appreciated. It's just going to be chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. Or you can channel your energy away from this type of person and more things can be uncovered. So it's not to say you can't help people, but you can't be the one doing the work for them. Thank you, Spirit. Oh my gosh, I thought, what is this message coming through? But yeah, you can't do the work for them. And it's okay to pull yourself back. So in acknowledging that you can't always be there to help others, what is the most important lesson that the divine feminines are being taught right now? The Seven of Cups. Now we've had the cups, the swords, the pentacles, the cups. It's the rainbow of emotions. That is the whole point. There is no good, bad, or neutral. If we eliminate those three words, you are blessed to be in this vicinity, in this specific timeline, learning what you're learning right now, receiving, and you are being asked to channel it in one direction. When you end up splitting your energy over these seven cups, it becomes disorientated. It becomes challenging in and of itself because you have been asked to spread yourself quite thinly. And there'll be certain people who will require your support from time to time. And it's not to say to cut yourself off from these individuals, but you need to distinguish how much time and energy you give to these individuals and when it is time to um, draw that energy back into yourself, is what I'm seeing. So the Seven of Cups really is this rainbow of emotions. On which type of emotion do you want to focus on? When we focus on one particular high vibrational feeling, what is the outcome of this particular feeling? Judgment. Okay, that's pretty epic because I feel I'm going to read the card out. It's very, very brief, but the judgment is this awakening. It is the inner calling and it is this evaluation. I'm also seeing the green dragon. So if you're seeing green, black, type of dragons, it's inviting you to be open to the possibility of more coming. So it's not saying that you need to hold on to something to justify the connection, because what ends up happening when you let go of something, more and more possibilities can arise and flourish. So even if you're not spreading yourself thinly over multiple people or multiple things, because again, this message could resonate with different people for different situations. But what I'm seeing here is you will be vindicated. You will be able to show up for yourself in a way that it feels spacious. It feels like there's a gap. And it's 11:11. It's just as I'm saying this. It allows for your spiritual evolution to increase. So, say, for example, if you've been connected to a person for the last few months or years, and you have this common spiritual thread, it doesn't mean you're supposed to keep going with that. It means that you might have learned enough from that specific connection, and now it's also time to let that go, even if you may not have that many people in the cohort of spirituality. It's saying that not every spiritual being will be your life partner, if that makes sense. Even though there will be spiritual growth and there will be evolution once the feminines have figured this out, what is coming up in the near future? So there is going to be a little bit of conflict in speaking up about what you want, feminines. And I'm saying conflict. It's the Five of Swords, that cards that come out, and it can be conflict. It's almost as if in the Rider-Waite Tarot, it looks like they're fighting, but it also, on the flip side, it depends which way you look at it. It could be that you're playing, that you're upskilling, that you're training. So even if you look at some people fighting with sticks, it doesn't mean that they are, what is the word? That they are in conflict. So I'm also seeing the Five of Wands type of energy regarding the Five of Swords in this particular deck. It's saying that because you're using your unique inquisitive mindset, you're able to see the possibilities from different perspectives, that you're able to see these challenges as possibilities for more things. It's even allowing you to grow and strengthen your ability to be spiritual, to help others without laying your own, without sacrificing. Thank you, Spirit. That's the word. You don't need to sacrifice anymore, feminines. When we are able to let go of the burden of having this as a tit for tat, if I do this, I'm going to get a reward. When we've overcome that yin yang, if I do this, I'm going to get it in return. What do we need to know that Spirit is inviting us to step into? What is the energy? The Queen of Swords. Now, this came directly underneath the Ace of Swords. And remember, the bottom of the deck, we still have the King of Swords. So I feel for some of you, you've gone from a divine masculine speaking up about how you feel. You've almost needed, it's like a pendulum swing. You needed to go all the way to the divine masculine type of energy of speaking up. But now you're going pendulum swinging over to the left side, where the Queen of Swords is now speaking up with compassion for yourself, feminines. When you're able to distinguish that these people don't require your time and energy, that you don't need to go into the river to save them anymore, that you're able to put compassion and honesty in terms of the way you do things, your intentions, and the way other people see it isn't important. What I mean is, sometimes we end up bending over backwards for people, and they're never going to be satisfied or acknowledge that. When we are able to be compassionate with ourselves, we're not looking for that validation. We're not looking for us to be praised because we made dinner, for example, or we clean the house. You know what I mean? Sometimes we do things and we're like, look what I did, da, 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 da. And it's like, well, why are you seeking that validation and praise? And so you haven't cleaned the house because you wanted to clean the house. You haven't made the dinner because you've truly wanted to do this out of the kindness of your heart. A part of you is ego led, and then that wants validation. Look at me, I clean the house. Didn't I do well? look at me, I cooked you dinner and you don't even appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's that kind of energy that I'm getting. And you're moving away from that, is basically what I'm seeing in the cards. So when we've moved away from this type of energy and we're nurturing ourselves, we're not seeking that validation. What are we on the precipice of manifesting? The Empress! Yes! I love that the Empress has come out because we've gone from the King of Swords energy, the Queen of Swords energy. We've gone through these aces, we've learnt the lessons, we've evolved, and we've not sought out that validation, and we're now really coming into our Empress energy. It's almost like I feel it's very stoic, but in the terms of like Tibetan monks. You know how sometimes they're like, if you don't say anything, doesn't mean you don't have anything to say, but you're able to absorb, but you're able to listen, but you're very wise. So when you do speak, it's of relevance. I know a few people who literally just blurt out words, and sometimes they don't even know what they're talking about. And I find it quite entertaining, to be fair. I love people listening and people watching, and I know probably a few people actually. I know a few people who've basically they just speak out about whatever's around them in the environment, and um it's just their nature, right? They like to speak. I feel like there's a lot of people who are expressing themselves a lot through wordage, and sometimes I feel like if you've got a person who talks a lot, for example, around you, then maybe you need to look at, am I talking a lot? You know what I mean? It's almost like, are you over expanding your throat chakra? Are you able to go back to this Ace of Cups and really hone in and nurture your sacral chakra? So, how can you balance between the throat and the sacral and not just say things for the sake of saying things? I know a lot of people have said, oh, so and so speaks a lot. And I was like, well, it's like attracts like, right? So the Emperor's card for me is that stoic Tibetan monk type of energy. Is you don't need to keep speaking, you're more the observer, and when you do speak, wisdom comes out. So it's a very beautiful type of energy. What is coming through once the feminines have done this work and acknowledge that their light is shining brighter, even without needing the validation? The Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, I always likened the Queen of Pentacles with the Empress because it is the 3D manifestation of your abundance. It is this abundant energy because again, you've worked at this, feminines. You've not needed to prove yourself to anyone, and you're not almost like verbal diarrheaing it to people. And what I mean by that is when you're sharing these things about what you've done, well, why? Why is that important? Why could you not feel that satisfaction within yourself, is what I'm getting. What is coming up in the near future regarding letting go of these old connections? The Three of Pentacles. Yeah, this is the new version of you that you are stepping into. So sometimes letting go of the old people, the old energies, protecting yourself from those things actually enable you to build that foundation. I see the Three of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, and the overall message I got is this last card is the Temperance card. This is the balance that you were seeking. It's almost like the balance of the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords, the balance of this yin and yang, the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, the Empress is smack bang in the middle. You're working on yourself, feminines. You're working on yourself not for the sake of being all auspicious and a guru and sharing your knowledge, but it's actually saying that for those who wish to learn more, for those who want the wisdom and advice, they can find me here, if that makes sense. And I feel like this is more like almost like apt regarding this reading. Like for those people who find this reading, it's meant for you. And I never really understood it before. I just honestly, I thought it was an algorithmic um title, thumbnail, and people would just throw it out into readings. But I honestly believe that because we've got this temperance card here, it reflects to me this two of cups, these yin and yang, the balance of the masculine and feminine. Because you're letting go of those old connections, you are on the right path. You are manifesting these things because you're coming in through this harmonious way. If this message resonated for you, please let me know in the comments box, like this video, and I will see you all very soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.